I just have a desire to be great. You know, that's one of the main things, and the fact that it's another man on the other side of the ring that wants to hurt me.
I told you, all of my critics, I told you all that I was the greatest of all time.
He can bring the pressure, he can box. I'm a true champion, I'm willing to go to his turf, I'm a step on him, I'm a crush him. Y'all can mark my word to this, I'm a crush him. He's a C+ fighter, I'm an A+ fighter because I'm a dominate. This guy is flat footy, swing wild. I'm not worried about who his trainer is because his trainer can't get in there and fight for him. I'm ready mentally, physically, because I'm a team like he's a C+ fighter. I'm a dominate, I'm a dog this fighter.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one to stop me. Lynch was the conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairport. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat your children.
Can you? Listen, the concentration is leaving a little bit. Pick it up. Pick it up. Fire's coming. Are you ready for the fire? We're firemen. We are firemen. The heat doesn't bother us. We live in the heat. We train in the heat. It tells us that we're ready. We're at home. We're where we're supposed to be. Flames don't intimidate us. What do? We control the flame.
Welcome, everyone, to Season 2, Episode 32 of the Standing 8 podcast. I'm your studio host, Aaron Soria from Los Angeles. Joining me are the usual suspects, Courtney Tanner and Tommy Rush Jr. Michael Gomez will be joining us later into the show. Some administrative announcements to get out of the way. First of all of our episodes are available on Spotify, iTunes, and Stitcher. So please subscribe to us on those mediums as well. Also, recent episodes starting from episode 30 onward can be found on our website, which is www.thestanding8podcast.com. Well, let's get right into it. Episode 32, we're going to lead off this episode reviewing two major fights that happened in the past 2 weeks. First off, we had the April 20th welterweight fight between Terence Crawford and Amir Khan at the Madison Square Garden in New York. Attendance was roughly 14,000. From the early jump, Terence Crawford he pressed the action early. Amir Khan, in his fights, being that he's the guy with the he's known for his speed. He's usually the guy pressing the action, but from round one up to the sixth round, Terence Crawford was the one who was being the aggressor, putting on the pressure. And in round one, he made a statement. He made a statement with his signature knockdown. I remember Amir Khan extending somewhat of a lazy jab, which allowed Terence Crawford to time a powerful overhand right, followed by a left hook leading to the knockdown. And on top of that, I did notice he was starting off in the orthodox stance in the first round, and from then onward, Crawford was outboxing him, timing him well, up to the sixth round where it ended. Not the type of ending everyone wanted, but it ended with an accidental low blow. It was called Virgil Hunter. As he stated, he was trying to protect his fighter. And so we have Terence Crawford successfully defending his WBO welterweight title for the second time. So he's right now his welterweight record is 3-0 with wins over Jeff Horn, Jose Benavidez Jr. and just recently Amir Khan. Tommy, what was your assessment of the fight? And did you anything you took away from the fight that hasn't been said already in the world of social media and whatnot?
Well, for me, I was actually on vacation at the time. I did get to catch the highlights of the fight. I was pretty sick that I didn't get to see it. live like everybody else, but I actually did catch some highlights and watch a few of the rounds where I could catch them. And as you said, I mean, from what it looked like to me and from what everything was being said during the fight and post-fight with all of the discussions, it was exactly what I expected, to be honest. I wanted to see Terence Crawford come in, be impressive. We know that sometimes in Crawford's fights he does take a few punches. He does like to get into those little dog fights, so that kind of allows and lends some shots being landed his way. But it didn't surprise me. It also didn't surprise me that Khan was looking for a way out. It seemed by everything that was being reported. You know, even his trainer Virgil was pretty much shutting that stuff down. You know, as far as him complaining and things of that nature, where it was almost like he was just trying to place that seed of wanting out the fight. It was a fight where Crawford controlled it. He did what he needed to do in good fashion. As you said, unfortunately, it did end due to the low blow. That was not a shot to Amir Khan's groin. Exactly, it was more towards that hip area from everything that I saw. Yes, there's been speculation on it being a groin shot, and we've seen things of Amir Khan reporting that he's been pissing blood and all kinds of stuff, which we're going to be able to call it what we want to call it. Everybody's going to have their opinions, but the truth, the proof was in the pudding, and he was not looking to stay in that ring with Terence Crawford, and it showed. So I'm still impressed, even though it was a lackluster ending due to that. But he did what he needed to do. Amir Khan did what he was expected to do, and we pretty much move on in that saga of where Terence Crawford is headed in the division. As you said, he's already amassed 3 nice wins in that division after clearing out 140. So I'm really excited to see what his next bout is going to be. We know that we're seeing a lot of fights being made and just to be made and finalized right now. So the welterweight division is really shaping up to give us some pretty amazing fights, and it's very exciting in what we're about to be seeing moving forward.
I agree. Courtney, within those relatively quick 6 rounds, did you, in your viewpoint, take anything? Was there anything worth mentioning as far as Crawford's abilities, and that wasn't already alluded to in the reactions in social media?
I think that I think that's been the most dominant performance against Amir Khan that anybody has ever had to this date. That was an extremely capable and incredible performance by Crawford. As far as the entertainment value of the fight, it was kind of lackluster or a lackluster ending. But that had to do more with Amir Khan and basically having his will broken in that first round. And like Tommy said, and like a lot of other people are saying, it was apparent up to the point of the stoppage that Amir Khan was looking for that way out of the ring. And it's unfortunate that he took that route. In that, we've seen Amir Khan ended. We've seen him get his we've seen him get his phone line cut in a lot of fights, but that's always lended kind of the warrior ethos and the heart of Amir Khan, in that he's always demonstrated a willingness to go out on his back and go out on his shield, and to get carried out of the ring if necessary. And and we saw that against Canelo, who he went in, who he had no chance in hell against. Just being outgunned, outsized, and everything, and still giving a very capable, incredible account of himself. There's a lot of people who watched the Canelo fight that were and had Amir Khan, basically up on every round up until the point of the stoppage. But Crawford, he just went in there. The first half of the first round, he was kind of filling him out, and we thought it was going to be one of those things where Crawford was going to take that round off and more or less just collect the data Crawford was going to collect the data on Amir Khan. But then when he hit him with that shot and put him on his ass, that was it was pretty much curtains for Amir Khan mentally from that point on. From what I saw, very professional and impressive performance by Terence Crawford, and that, like I said, that's the best, in my opinion, I've seen anybody look against Amir Khan.
It's interesting you mention that because in this fight, before this fight, we've known Khan for always pressing action first, initiating the offense, and in Crawford's fights before he had this fight, we've always known Crawford for being the reading guys, not doing too much early, and we saw the complete opposite from both guys. Crawford, he wasted no time going at Khan. I mean, he did survey for a few moments, but from then on, he just went relatively full attack, timing his punches, landing some really sharp jabs leading up to that first knockdown. So that was really impressive. And just for the record, I just want to report some final punch stats. Crawford total punches, body included, 41.7% to Khan's 24.2%. Crawford total punches, 88 out of 211 to Khan's 44 out of 182. So a glaring disparity between those two fighters. Now, going as far as the immediate matchmaking future for Crawford, I think, in my opinion, it's going to be more hard for Bob Arum to make pay-per-view worthy fights for Crawford against fighters not named Errol Spence. Tommy, what do you have to add to that? What's your feelings as far as Crawford's next moves are, if it's not Errol Spence?
Right about now, man, the way everything is shaping up, the way we're seeing and hearing about Thurman and Pacquiao possibly being finalized and matched up, the way that we're hearing and seeing about Spence and Porter, one of the things which, we'll kind of get into a little bit later, but I'll go ahead and throw his name out there. I would like to see him go ahead and fight Danny Garcia, to be honest. I think that in this race between Crawford and Spence.
Against Crawford, Danny Garcia?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, just as far as if we're just going to go matchmaking, the big names that are out there, the people that are really still in that fight and in that game at the top of the division. Garcia looked very solid in his fight versus Granados, and so he's been a champion. He looked very sharp and very good in this recent fight. The way the division is being put together, all of the big names are starting to fight each other in some form or fashion, and we know that right now the biggest matchup that can be made is that Spence Crawford fight on pay-per-view, and there's a battle between the two of them, building their resume and building their performances to vie for who's going to have that A side in that match when it does eventually happen, which I do believe it will eventually happen. I think that right now, if Thurman and Pacquiao end up fighting, and Spence and Porter end up fighting, I would like to see Garcia get a shot right there and go ahead and take on Crawford and see what happens there. I think that would be a little solid bout.
How about Tommy? One last before I transition to Corny. How about fighters that are outside of the PBC Al Haymon round? Do you have any names that you could think of that might be viable for Terence Crawford to fight?
There's a few people out there, but like I said, honestly, right now we know what the game is, and the game is really turning out to be Spence and Crawford fighting for who's going to be leading that division. right now, or in probably in about the next year or so before they're forced together to fight. So I think and I believe that he would probably be one of the ones that's actually even earned his way back into some of those talks in the top of the division. Even though he's taken the loss that he has in the recent bouts in the recent past, but with his performance that he had, that's the one I would want to see.
Interesting. Corny, who do you see? What possible names not in the PBC banner that would be a viable matchup for Terence Crawford if he's not fighting Errol Spence anytime soon?
I think it's going to be a situation where Top Rank is going to have to start shifting guys up and moving guys down in order for them to have viable opponents for Terence Crawford in all actuality. As far as who Top Rank deals with or has at 147 pounds presently, the pickings are looking extra slim. I'm hearing reports that Luis Collazo, who's fought on a couple Top Rank cards and has recently signed to Top Rank, former 147 pound champion, fought against Shane Mosley, fought against Ricky Hatton back in the day, that he would be, he's being explored as a next opponent for Terence Crawford, and that, with him having a bit of a Puerto Rican following on the East Coast, that they could kind of use that as a jump off to bring Crawford back to the Madison Square Garden, maybe in the theater, the smaller venue at the Madison Square Garden, or maybe maybe somewhere like the Barclays Center, or in Jersey in Newark at the Prudential Center, or somewhere along those lines. A person also signed with Top Rank, who they have at 147 pounds, and who is approaching the number one contender status for the WBO at 147 pounds, is a fighter that Top Rank has out of Lithuania, named Kavalauskas. I can't pronounce his first name, but he's been featured on a few Top Rank cards. Didn't look impressive at all his last time out, though, against Ray Robinson out of Philadelphia. So I think that kind of hurt his prospects. So I think I think they were leaning towards grooming Kavalauskas to fight Crawford, him being the mandatory also, and making that kind of a featured TV fight. But that the appeal of that is not where it should be given his last performance. So I think Luis Collazo kind of took the one up in that situation. But as far as the guys on the other side of the street, as far as the PBC fighters, Al Heyman's guys, the guys who are fighting on Showtime and Fox right now, I'm going to be honest in my assessment, and I'm going to be brutally honest, and it's the reality that I think nobody wants to hear, because I think any other matchup or proposed matchup between a PBC fighter and Terence Crawford is purely and strictly wishful thinking right now. I think the PBC knows that they've got the commodity right there as far as the game at 147. I made a comment the other night in the group and saying basically with PBC making the announcement that Spence has numerous fights that could be made at 147 within the PBC realm, then therefore wouldn't be interested in fighting Crawford next. It's pretty much like the Arby's commercial where they're saying we got the meats. And that's the cold reality of it. As far as Spence and Crawford, I don't think that matchup happens until Spence clears it out on the PBC side, whether fighting Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, one-time Thurman, and Manny Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? Like right there, 4 fights. You've got that he can make, and those fights will sell. And those fights will, those fights will do PBC numbers. I mean, at least some of those fights. And beyond that, the mid-tier guys at 147, PBC has got those guys like Jamal Shango James out of Minneapolis. Guys like Adrian Granados, who he just got shellacked by Danny Garcia, but he's always in tough with the guys he fights. Josecito Lopez, another guy who's kind of a perennial loser but makes good fights. So I mean, the thing is, what we'll see with PBC is they'll give you mid-level matchups, kind of to entice the bigger fights that they have upcoming in the future, and people will watch those because Spence is such a special fighter that people will come to the point where they just want to see him do his thing, and it won't necessarily be about the matchups per se. Yes, people get tired of seeing him fight mid-level competition, but as long as the prospect of Spence and Crawford is being dangled in front of the fans, I mean, that they can always make the fights based on that. Going back to Top Rank before I finish up and give it back. As far as I said earlier, as far as the moving fighters up or bringing some fighters down, you got a couple names at Top Rank at 140 that would make viable matchups. As far as one being in particular, Jose Ramirez out of Fresno, California. He's pretty much the 140 and Latino version of Terence Crawford in that he's from a small market, but he brings people in, and he's got that local following that's huge, and he can he's packing the Save March Center in Fresno just like Crawford was packing the CenturyLink Center in Omaha, Nebraska. And then also at 154, Top Rank has got Carlos Adames, who looked very impressive on the undercard on Saturday, and he's a former sparring partner of Terence Crawford. And I wouldn't be surprised if he can make 147 pounds or come anywhere close to it. They would eventually match him up with Crawford as well.
Very interesting.
What do y'all think about Crawford pulling the old Pacquiao move, the Pacquiao Mayweather coattail move, and pushing for a fight with Mikey Garcia or somebody? It's Mikey Garcia being aligned with PBC. I do not see it. I'm not saying that just to kill it and be that person who is the naysayer in it all. I mean, that's a good theoretical matchup. I mean, Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia, those are fights I would love to see Crawford in. I mean, anybody who Crawford would get in with, say on the PBC fight, that's all action. Whatever the disconnect is, whether it's greed from the networks, whether Al Heyman is really this mystical, evil villain that people portray him as, or whether it's Bob Arum, basically towing the money line with ESPN and Disney, and saying it's just until something along that cog breaks or shifts to where that's viable and enough money can be made by all entities, I just don't see any cross-pollination.
It's going to be very interesting what's going to happen as far as matchmaking for Terence Crawford will be. We got Michael Gomes in. Let me patch him in. Michael, how you doing?
What's going on, gents?
We're about to.
I don't know what topic you guys are talking about.
We're still talking about Terence Crawford and Khan. We're about to end it, but since you came in just in the nick of time, give us your assessment of the fight.
Wait, they fought? Listen, I mean, here's my assessment of the fight. We all know that Khan's got a glass jaw. We all know that. But in the same retrospect, Khan's a very good boxer. Quick hands. He can box. I mean, the only problem is he does lead too many times with his chin. But it took Terence basically one round to put a guy down that took Canelo maybe about 4 or 5 rounds. 5 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I mean, he didn't drop Canelo. I mean, he didn't drop Khan out cold, but he figured it out really quick. That fight against Khan, considering, because a lot of people are harping on the fact that, when it comes to Crawford, we always hear the fantasy matchup, Crawford versus Errol Spence, right? That's what we all want to see. But I don't know why people keep on mentioning the size advantage. Khan's a bigger guy than Bud Crawford in terms of size, right? Bigger frame. I mean, there's no boxer that Bud has gone in that has possessed the size advantage that Bud hasn't dispatched out of there really quick. You know, to me, that fight just solidified that, in my opinion, he's the boogeyman rather, of that division. I really, really feel wholeheartedly about my assessment when it comes to Bud being the number one guy in the welterweight division. And I know everybody, not everybody, but I know a lot of people swear up and down that Spence is the guy that's going to put him away. I just don't see it. Bud's got too much arsenal. He has too much of a skill set to allow somebody like Errol to put him away. And my thing, I'm going to go back to Mikey Garcia versus Errol. Errol couldn't put a true lightweight, a true 135-pounder out. What makes people think that he's going to be able to put a guy as tough as nails like Bud Crawford out? So that's my assessment. I mean, Khan's a very good fighter. I don't know where he goes from here. Honestly, I believe that Khan should probably contemplate retirement or go back to England and fight Kell Brook for the money and just call it a quits. It's a fight that he's not going to win. We all know that. I think Kell Brook will put him out down in the canvas, but I think that Khan is nearing retirement, in my opinion. I think that's where it should be at this point for him. Skillful guy, but he's got such a huge disadvantage with his chin, and we all saw the fight. He leads with his chin almost all the time. He's a disaster waiting to happen. But it was a good fight up until, you want to call it a bad stoppage. I mean, Virgil Hunter's the one who made the call, not Khan. Do I believe that Khan wanted to continue? I do. But, if you watch the fight again,
I don't.
the inevitable – if you watch the fight again, the inevitable was going to happen, which is Khan being on the floor. You saw it, you felt it, you knew it was going to happen. It was a matter of time. Maybe it would have happened in the following round, round 8, round 9, but it was going to happen. There was no doubt about it in my mind.
As far as Khan's future, everybody pretty much says there's only one option. That saying and I agree on it. The one option as far as a fight that everybody would want to see Khan beyond this is Kell Brook, and it's pretty much because everybody wants to see Kell Brook in this dude once and for all, and pretty much just shut him up. I think the reality of it is, with Khan being signed to Eddie Hearn, Khan will probably come back to the States and fight on some DAZN cards. DAZN has got Jesse Vargas. That's a viable fight for Khan. Or, we could see a situation where they bring in some guys that have already been vanquished or some soft touches, and they bring them over to England to fight Khan. Guys like Adrian Granados, Josecito Lopez, maybe bring Omar Figueroa over there. Shit. If we're being real, I wouldn't even be surprised to see AB go over to England and fight Amir Khan. Because AB is pretty much, he's out of options just like Amir Khan is. So, the fight that everybody wants to see is Kell Brook, but there are some fights that could be made that would pique some people's interest. And Khan is kind of the fighter where people, Khan is kind of like AB. There are just some people who, for whatever reason, will not give up on AB, and they think AB will basically snap out of it and realize his potential and be as great, be as great as his talent would indicate. I think there's a lot of people on that.
Here's my question to you, though, Courtney, really quick, not to interrupt. Here's my question: do you think that Amir is going to accept the role of basically being what AB is right now, a journeyman? Let's not kid ourselves. That's what both of them are.
AB is not exactly a journeyman. AB is not getting paid like a journeyman. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be real, though. You know what I'm saying? Journeymen don't get checks like AB is getting. You know what I'm saying? Journeymen don't get headlining opportunities the way that AB is. So, you think he won't continue? Is he filling the role of a journeyman per se? Yes, but not in the classical sense. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like prostitution. You know what I'm saying? There's your street level stuff, and then there's high class. and I'm not trying to be totally disrespectful. I'm not trying to be totally disrespectful and equate, what AB and Amir Khan are doing as prostitution. But AB is pretty much prostituting his name or his his rep. And at this point, Amir Khan is pretty much prostituting his chin to the highest bidder. So, I mean, there's levels to it, and there's levels to the gatekeeper journeyman role. So,
but that's my thing with Amir Khan. Like, why not take that fight with Cal? If there's going to come a point where maybe that fight is not going to make as much money, if Khan continues down this road and gets knocked out by the next guy, gets knocked out by the second guy, I mean, there's going to be a point where people are like, I don't know if I really want to watch that fight because we all know what's going to happen. I think that. Go ahead.
Amir Khan is scared to death. He's scared to death. He's not scared to death of Brook. I mean, let's be real. Anybody who's been knocked cold as many times as Amir Khan has in front of tens of thousands of people, live and millions of people broadcast around the world, anybody who's been knocked, unconscious that many times is not scared of anybody. But right. I think what Amir Khan is scared to death of in terms of Kell Brook is that as much shit as he's been talking for damn near a decade with Kell Brook's name coming out of his mouth, Amir Khan knows that if he loses
in his own ground,
he will never be able to hold his head up in British society ever again. That's what it all boils down to with Amir Khan's apprehension when it comes to making the deal to fight Kell Brook.
I think
I agree with you on that.
They're knocking him back awake every fight. I don't think that they're knocking him out cold. I think they're waking his ass back up by this time. He's been knocked out so many damn times. I think he just stays asleep and they just wake him up. I don't know what the hell's going on with Khan.
An interesting fight for Khan, in my opinion. And I wouldn't mind watching it again, even though I know more or less what the outcome is going to be. But we're talking about viable options for him. Is a rematch against Danny Garcia. Even though I'm not really looking to see it, but I'll watch it. I'll watch it again. I think that's a matchup that could be done on PBC. Think about it. Khan's got a good name, right? Listen, it's not something I want to watch, but I could guarantee you it's something that definitely is crossing Al Heyman's mind. He's like, I could put Danny versus this guy. We can make money. It's a viable fight. Financially, it does make sense. We can make money here. And is it going to hurt Danny? No. Amir Khan is probably going to get knocked out again, get caught as he did in the first fight. But it'd be interesting to watch that fight again.
But hey, what y'all think about Danny Garcia's performance against Adrian Granados, though? I'm going to put my hand up and say I was impressed. I'm surprised. I was very surprised by that outcome. I totally and completely expected Granados to give him a rough go of it. I thought Danny was going to win that fight, but I thought Danny was going to win it by controversial split or majority decision. I didn't think nobody has dominated Granados. Nobody has dominated. Danny Garcia went in there and dominated a fighter who has made everybody look silly. Even in losing efforts. Now, may that be attributed to basically Adrian Granados being shop-worn at this point and being in a lot of tough fights at a very early stage in his career? Very, very possibly. But I mean, as far as Danny Garcia's stock, he made a comment afterwards. He's saying, "I hope I didn't scare Manny Pacquiao off." And before then, there was press releases saying that Manny Pacquiao was basically considering one-time Thurman and Danny Garcia as the final two for who he's going to fight in July. And then that Monday, all the press releases were circulating that Manny Pacquiao is leaning towards one-time Thurman. So, I mean, I think that performance was impressive. If anything, is that it made Manny Pacquiao be like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with one time.
I completely agree with you.
I agree, and I think given the fact that Danny Garcia in his previous fights, all of his losses were at the hands of the judges, and this time around, he really wanted to make a statement that, hey, I'm still one of the top guys in the welterweight division, so I'm going to put it on Adrian Granados. I'm going to do the best of my power to bring back the old Danny Garcia, use my range, give him my powerful combos, fight from the range, and then bring that knockout power, in which he did against Adrian Granados, and I believe this brings him in the conversation in the Spence sweepstakes. And so hopefully hopefully Danny Garcia is one of the future matchups for Errol Spence in the near future.
That would be that'd be a fun fight to watch. You know, if anything, Spence versus Garcia, that's a fun fight to watch.
I think that's a better matchup than Porter versus Spence.
Agreed.
Stylistically, I can't disagree with that. The thing about Spence and Porter, the thing that intrigues me about it is I want to see. I like to see title unifications. And I think the broader boxing audience are getting a better understanding of the belt system, and they want to see one name, one face, one champ. And Porter and Spence brings us closer to that. But as far as value for money, Spence and Garcia, that is a very fun fight to watch.
Yeah, and as much as people are, because I've been reading a lot of forums, boxing forums, go on a lot and read comments on the Boxing Hype Instagram account and Supreme, Instagram account, Anthony Saldano's account, and somebody brought up, potential matchup between Spence and Danny, and I think way too many people are dismissing Danny way too early. I think that listen, I give the edge obviously to Errol. I think that Spence will win, but that's not an easy matchup for Spence because Danny could box, right? There's no question that Danny's going to box.
Danny Garcia fights southpaws very well. That's one thing I will give him. He's always performed very well against southpaws.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you with the Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman assessment. Ultimately, it was Manny's decision. Obviously, Keith Thurman, even though I think he still needs a tune-up fight to fight against Manny, I mean, when you're presented with the opportunity to go in the ring with probably the biggest legend or second biggest legend right now, no, the biggest legend. Let's call it the biggest legend in. After Floyd, Canelo is going to, obviously be a legend himself. But the opportunity is there where, one, he's going to fight one of the biggest legends in the history of boxing. Number two, he's going to make a lot of money doing it. Whether he wins or loses, that's going to be his biggest payday for him. So why not? That's an easy decision for Keith and an easy decision for Manny, seeing that Keith came out of that last fight a little sluggish and he's got some ring rust, and Danny looked really, really good against a very tough opponent in Adrian Granados.
It's pretty funny, right? That we have Manny, which went to the Garcia and Spence fight and got called out and got his pants pulled down in the ring. Got punked by Spence, and we could tell that he was obviously shopping for Mikey to look a whole lot better in that fight, to maybe try to cherry pick him off. And then, as we just mentioned, that the talks were between Thurman and Danny Garcia, and Danny Garcia comes out and looks extremely impressive in that fight and showed very good grit in taking Granados out in the fashion that he did, and then turns around and Pacquiao's instantly going after Thurman. Kind of funny that Pacquiao's now pulling the Garcia with the cherry picking now, right? That's amazing how that's happening.
But he could do that at this point in his life. He could do that. He can.
Do you gentlemen think
he's still fighting Keith Thurman? Like that's still like this is not an easy opponent for him. This is a tough matchup for Manny. We can't dismiss Keith like Keith is nobody. Keith, Keith at his prime, at is peak, I still put him at an advantage over Errol Spence. I still have Keith beating Errol Spence. It's not a 50-50 fight for me when it's, but the problem is Keith has been out for a long time, and in addition to that, Keith's in a different state of mind after he got married. So we don't know what type of Keith Thurman is going to come back to the ring. Is it the same killer Keith, or is it, is it the more mellowed out Keith that is now married and has got other things on his mind? So, we can't dismiss that.
Yeah.
It's not like Manny chose if Manny really wanted to go the easy route, Manny could have gone, Manny could have fought. I think he could have gone and fought Mikey Garcia and still make money, and he's at 147. He's at an advantage against Mikey.
I was going to ask that. Does anybody think that Manny Pacquiao would be, in a sense, shameless enough to go ahead and fight Mikey Garcia anyway?
I I don't think so. Yeah,
not after Thurman. I don't think after taking Thurman that he would go that route. I think that if he was going to go that route, he would have done it now.
Yeah, he could have still made that matchup even after Mikey lost. He could have still made the matchup, and financially, from an economical standpoint, Mikey Garcia versus Manny can do some good numbers pay-per-view wise. I think that matchup could do 600,000 to 800,000 pay-per-view buy, in my opinion. But I don't know. Manny's never really been shy of fighting guys bigger than him. So I don't think him fighting Mikey is something probably that really, really crossed his mind. But then again, why was he at the fight, right? With Mikey.
I was about to say, it crossed his mind.
He was hoping Mikey Garcia was going to win.
Yeah, he was hoping that
Manny Pacquiao's strategy was he was going to call Mikey Garcia out immediately after he got his hand raised against Errol Spence. That's the only reason Manny Pacquiao was in Dallas, was at the AT&T that night.
Yeah.
I doubt Manny Pacquiao was fully convinced before that fight that he truly believed Mikey Garcia was going to win. You guys get that feeling? That's what
he just wanted him to be aggressive enough.
Yeah, I'm with Tommy on that one. I think that he just wanted to see Mikey lose, but Mikey really make it a very close fight. And then I think that he could have gone on and maybe days later call him out. But who knows? We don't. The thing is, we don't know what goes on behind these boxing politics. But I have to agree. I got to agree with Courtney on that one. I think he was there more. He was hoping that Mikey won that fight by a decision, and that would have been an easy call out for him. And plus, Mikey's got a pretty big Mexican following. Between him and Mikey, if Mikey had won, I think that then that fight could have maybe inched to very close to the $1 million pay-per-view buy mark.
I mean, I think that kind of gets lost in the hindsight. I mean, hindsight always being 20/20 is in the run-up. There were a lot of people. I wouldn't say the majority of people, but there was a sizable minority of people who really thought Mikey Garcia was going to win just based off the experience factor and just based on how great Mikey Garcia was, at every step up until that fight. So, I mean,
except for us.
Excuse me?
Except for us.
But it's one of those things where I really anticipate Manny Pacquiao going ahead and making the fight with one time, but with him being at the stage of his career and him exercising prerogatives and deservedly so, I mean, I don't think we can be surprised if anybody basically Manny Pacquiao picks out of the hat at this point.
Interesting. Let's transition to the next fight review topic, which is Claressa Shields versus Christina Hammer, which happened
T-Rex.
The Saturday prior to the fight we were just talking about, Amir Khan and Terence Crawford. So yeah, April 13th was the Atlantic City women's middleweight unification bout between T-Rex, Claressa Shields, and Christina Hammer. Claressa Shields, who we had the honor of interviewing her last season 1 last year, she dominated all the rounds, almost virtually. The scorecard of 98 to 92, all across the board. My assessment of the fight, Claressa Shields used her jab effectively to get inside, to get within the inside range of Christina Hammer, which made her uncomfortable throughout the fight, which in turn up to I think the 7th or 8th round, Claressa Shields was able to corner Hammer up against the ropes and land some dangerous combos, leading to the point where at one point Christina Hammer lost her mouthpiece. I don't know if you guys remember that. From then on, it was just cruise sailing for Claressa Shields. becoming the undisputed women's middleweight champion. So I'm going to transition. Transition to Michael Gomes. Michael, what was your thoughts on Claressa Shields' landmark victory for in the women's middleweight division?
So first and foremost, shout out to Claressa. Very impressed. I will tell you that after watching the first round, I didn't think that it was going to be as landslide or lopsided as it was, because I thought that Hammer did a good job that first round, keeping range and using her jab effectively. And then Claressa, just what she was doing was just figuring out Hammer in that first round. She did an extremely great job working in the inside, and there was you could tell that Hammer had no solution for her. She can't fight in the inside, obviously. Claressa was dominating her, used a lot of head feints. Hammer was very stiff. She couldn't use her range. She couldn't use her reach at all. She looked, she had no solution whatsoever. She had no answer whatsoever for Claressa. And I'll tell you right now, and if there was another round, I think Claressa puts her on her ass. I really did. I thought that it was going to be an early night. It looked very shaky round 7 and round 8 for Lady Hammer. It looked like she was probably going to hit the ground at some point. So shout out to Claressa. She showed the entire world, because she went into that fight as the underdog. She did show the entire world that she can fight, that she knows how to adapt inside the ring, very Floyd-esque, the way she was able to figure out after the first round. And it was just, listen, she's fantastic to watch. She's got a lot of grit in her. She's got no quit in her. She's a fantastic fighter, and I don't know what's next. There was talks of her maybe coming down a couple of pounds to meet, I forget her name in the middle. I forget what's her name. Exactly, that's who it is. Yeah, but I don't think there's anybody that could really beat her right now. I was inching towards Hammer, thinking that Hammer was going to give her a problem because of the range and the power, but she figured her out really quick, and just let's call a spade a spade. Claressa just dismantled her. So shout out to her. I mean, it was a fantastic performance.
And also, I remember Courtney Tanner after you guys did the Claressa Shields interview. Courtney Tanner he said it perfectly after the interview. He pointed out that there's levels to Shields' game, and Courtney believed that Shields would have the fortitude to find a way to edge out the victory, and that's exactly what happened. Now, Courtney, what was your anything interesting you saw out of that fight?
I think that performance by T-Rex. Shout out to T-Rex. Shout out to Claressa Shields. That was she took it. In my eyes, she took it right. She took it to the streets of Flint on Christina Hammer. Right. Christina Hammer was. She took that fight. She took that fight to the Swiss Alps, but Claressa Shields brought her down to the streets of Flint, Michigan, and opened the faucet up on her and offered her a glass of water, and it didn't taste too good. With Claressa Shields, that performance in my eyes, that put the writing on the wall as to not only Claressa Shields' apparent greatness, but her current status and her current claim to be the greatest woman of all time. She's got a ways to go before she surpasses what's been laid out in front of her by women like Christy Martin or Layla Ali or Ann Wolfe or Lucia Riker. But Claressa Shields basically showed that she's going to do whatever she wants to do in the ring for however long she wants to do it, and her body and her health hold up, and she's capable of doing it. Women's boxing is on the come up. There's a lot of talent in the lower divisions right now. But as far as anybody who is in anywhere nearly remotely near the radius where Claressa Shields is, they stand no chance in hell. And what was great about that performance by Claressa Shields is it was totally transcendent of the moment. There's a lot of fighters, they get to that moment and the moment is too big for them, or it's heavy, and they have to kick it into another gear, and they have to find that greatness level through the adversity. But with Claressa Shields, she knew that she was the underdog, at least per the betting lines. She knew that with Christina Hammer's technical ability, with that ramrod jab that Christina Hammer has, and the fact that Christina Hammer is so experienced and has been a champion for so long, she knew she was going to have to go in there and step it up and be great and put on a great performance to be deserving of of everything she was saying up into the run up. And Claressa Shields talked a very big game, and she backed it up in grand fashion. I would have loved to see her get a knockout, but the reality of it is with Claressa Shields, power, that's not her game. That's just not. Claressa Shields is a pure boxer. And she's a very gritty boxer, and and just being cagey like that, and just being coming with the great strategy that John David Jackson in her corner laid out for her, and just being disciplined and just showing the levels. That's going to serve her well for as long as she's lacing them up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you over there, Courtney.
I think the main
Tommy,
word you used.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I think the main word that was used right there by Courtney was levels. There was levels to that shit. There was a lot of talk. There was a lot of hype. We even felt that there could have been some problems in that matchup, but she showed that she's out for the GOAT. Like she said, she's trying to come to be the greatest woman of all time in boxing. She showed that she's absolutely, without a doubt, the face of women's boxing. Shout out to Claressa Shields for doing what she did in that outstanding performance. As you guys said, would have absolutely loved to see her, knock Hammer on her ass and just knock her out. But that didn't happen. But it was a complete wash. She just got in there and gave her that work, and that's I was glad to see it. I can't wait to see what she continues to do for the face of women's boxing, as it is making a definite come up. So she crushed that shit, man. She just crushed it.
I think with the elephant in the room and within this conversation, and I'm feeling the tension through the phone. So let's go ahead and talk about it, guys. What are y'all's comments regarding the comments that Claressa Shields, who was clearly feeling herself on the social media, on that gram, and all the other social media platforms afterwards, where she basically called out one time. She basically called out Triple G and said that she would rock out on those dudes. Like, let's go ahead and talk about it, yo. We never shy from the controversial topics on the Standing 8, and let's not start tonight, yo. Hey, everybody's got words, everybody's got thoughts on the matter. Let's go ahead and get them out there for our listeners.
Let me start real quick because I got to run. I just had my second daughter literally a couple hours ago, and I got to go back into the hospital.
Congratulations!
Congrats.
I appreciate it, gents. I appreciate it. So I have no problem with her saying what she did. She said that she actually called out Triple G. She said that she would beat Keith Thurman. Listen, here's what I'll tell you. It's not because she's a woman. I love somebody who's got confidence. And that's what it's not cockiness, in my opinion. I think it's confidence. She believes in herself, and you have to believe in yourself when you step in the ring. And you know what? Like she said, she has sparred with guys, and she has put guys down. Now, do I believe she can beat those guys? Probably not, right? Triple G probably put her, through a wall. I have no problem with her saying what she said because I appreciate the fact that she exudes that type of confidence, and it's just going to help her when she walks into that ring and fights somebody as superior as her in the future. So I got no problem with her. Much respect to her, for making those comments. I know that it went viral, and there were some people out there that had some words, and some people took it for what it was, right? And others took it in a different context, and they had problems with it. Listen, at the end of the day, we're never going to know anyway. So why get upset at it? All right, so, gentlemen, I got to run out of here. Peace, as always. I'll talk to all you guys soon. Hold it down.
Once again, congratulations, Mike.
Congrats, Mike.
Much love, brother. So, about this, I know you guys got a heavy dose of it, but I honestly, I agree. I agree that, I don't see a problem with what she said. When those comments went, when it just got set ablaze and went viral all over the place, I think that it did exactly what was intended to happen. I feel like, this was, as we talk about, she talks about, the women's boxing game getting more respect, gaining more respect, gaining the props that it needs to have and should have in this game. I feel that she was making statements that were gonna make people talk about women's boxing. That were gonna, we've talked about the viewership in some of the fights that have happened recently, going down and things like that, not doing really big numbers. I think that she's putting women's boxing on her back and saying, let's fucking go. So and just like Gomes just said, having that tenacity to be able to even get ready to utter those types of words and those types of statements, that's just dripping confidence right there. And any woman that stands in that ring with her is going to face that. The next one just might get her face broken. There may be a serious issue because she's coming out for blood and she doesn't care. As she says, she has been in the ring with men before and she has done some work with men. But I think that it was marketing for the most part. I do think that it was more of a figurative type thing. Do I think that she would actually be afraid to do it? No. I think she probably would do it. But as Dome said, we'll probably never find that out. But I don't see a problem with it. The main thing that I see a problem with is that there were a lot of supposed very up on their shit type pundits and fans that were like taking it extremely literal and going off on tangents about it, as if it was absolute gospel of the world, man. Like, I think that it was marketing. It was more of that type of a statement to bring some shock value to, hey, I just went in there and crushed this woman, and either way it goes, she has haters. We've seen them in plenty of groups. We've seen them on on Instagram, we've seen them on Twitter. We've seen it all. There's just genuine haters for her. And it's almost like that Floyd type angle where I don't give a shit if you like me or if you hate me. You're going to watch me, and I'm gonna fuck stuff up. So let's go.
I agree with Tommy and the points made by Gomes. I think it's just all a marketing strategy. And if you want to make your name ring out, you can't just do it by winning matches. You gotta have a personality behind that, and that includes making statements like these outside of the ring as well. So it's I have no problem with it. People shouldn't take it literally. Courtney, you asked us the question, so let's get your thoughts on it. What were your thoughts on those statements made by Claressa Shields about fighting men?
I think the statement was part. I think the statement was words on the surface, but the statement was part of a greater statement. And I think with Claressa Shields basically putting that mantle of greatest woman of all time on her shoulder, and basically saying from the jump, when she was still an amateur, still fighting in the Olympics on her first gold medal, saying like, "Yo, I'm gonna be that." I think this was the manifestation of that. As far as, all right, all the greats have made controversial statements that just infuriated people for whatever reason. going all the way back to Jack Johnson, Muhammad Ali, you guys like Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Leonard, say Duran, all those guys, they at one point or the other, because of their personality, because of the statements they made, and generally they were making statements about other boxers or other people that were considered great for their era or in past eras. They basically made those comments, and it outraged people, and it basically sparked the hatred to where that. And I think that was kind of her getting her Floyd on, turning heel. Her moment, like where Mike Tyson said he was going to eat Lennox and Lewis's kids, or said, he was on some Jack Dempsey shit, or his defense was impregnable or whatever, basically, saying where
right.
when Mike Tyson said that, it was just like, oh, how dare he put himself on that same level with, with that champion. I think that was her point and there's no women all-time greats like that are in the public consciousness for her to make or draw those comparisons. So she went for who was who was hot right now. And that that's guys like One Time. That's guys like Triple G, who is she's a middleweight, he's a middleweight. She's basically saying, yo, I'm a female middleweight and I can rock with guys in this division. So I mean I think that's her just putting that mantle on and saying, you know what, I can turn heel. You're either gonna love me, which many people do, and they've been rocking me from the beginning, or people who are just now taking notice and hating me, all y'all are just going to have to feel something about me, because I'm the topic of discussion. I'm what's here right now in front of you, and I'm going to be the one who's taking the women's game in boxing to the next level. So you're either going to be on board with it, or you're going to tune in because you're hating and you want to watch me lose, and that's never going to happen. So I think that overall that's the broad statement that she made within those comments. And like I'm pretty much neutral to how I feel about it, because I mean, is anybody ever going to sanction a fight between her and One Time Thurman or Triple G? No. That, it's not gonna happen. It's not plausible.
Of course.
Those guys are not gonna cheapen their legacies by stepping in the ring and beating up a girl. Or beating up a woman. Like that's just not going to happen. So, like Tommy said, as far as the people who are just gung-ho about this as being a literal topic of discussion, I think the essence of what Claressa Shields is kicking is just flying way over their heads. And for those people are mainly casuals and only have a passing interest in the sport anyway. I mean, they're only giving the comments that much energy because they don't know any better. I would say 75% of those people who are on that hate train really think that it's realistic that a fight could be sanctioned between her and Triple G. You know what I'm saying? And those the thoughts and opinions and words of those people are they're about as fleeting as their interest in boxing is.
Yup.
I agree, and hopefully this with all this so-called controversy will just benefit her, in my opinion, and I assume in all of our opinions. Transition. I would like to dedicate the next 30 minutes or so to two major headlines in boxing. One of which is Gennady Golovkin firing his trainer, Abel Sanchez, for his upcoming debut DAZN fight against Rolls. Cody Tanner, let me get your immediate reaction to this. How do you feel about this, given their storied tenure together?
I think the writing on the wall with this is part of a greater narrative of most great fighters as they hit their swan song and approach their inevitable decline. I think there's doubt that has creeped into Triple G's mind, and a lot of times when a fighter has doubt within themselves, it manifests into the people who are around them, as far as their trainer, as far as their promoter, as far as their manager, as far as the people who are the closest to them. You know what I'm saying? We saw, when Cotto, was basically broken down by Margarito, with that first loss, he turned on Evangelista. You know what I'm saying? We, so towards the end, we've seen a lot of great fighters kind of shed the people or the persons that have got them to that level in terms or in hopes of finding something new that's going to spark them up. So I think in the guise of that, I think we're seeing a very irrational decision made by Triple G. First off, on the business end, where he pretty much jettisoned Tom Loeffler and says, I'm going to be self-managed. I'm going to handle my own affairs as far as Triple G Promotions. You know what I'm saying? Tom Loeffler is pretty much solely responsible for putting him in the mainstream of the American consciousness within sports. You know what I'm saying? Forget boxing, within sports. He made Triple G a household name. Samsung commercials, you know what I'm saying, Apple, electronics commercials, the whole nine. Jordan Brand athlete, Tom Loeffler is responsible for that. As far as, you know what I'm saying, within the confines of boxing, Abel Sanchez made Triple G. Case point blank. Yes, Triple G came out of the Olympics, successful amateur, silver medal back until 2004, back in Athens. But I mean, it would be completely naive to even speculate what Triple G could have done had he not linked up with Abel Sanchez. So I think with those two fights back to back against Canelo, even though the case can be made very strongly that Triple G won both of those fights, I think the result of that is that has affected Triple G's psyche and his rationale, and now we're seeing him basically parting ways with Abel Sanchez as a symptom of that. Also, one more thing before I get off. There's another angle to it in that Triple G has said he wants to train closer to home. And we know it's been documented that Triple G has basically lived up in Big Bear in Abel Sanchez's gym, and has been a fixture around that gym and in that community, even when he's not training. Just helping Abel Sanchez train other fighters and work with and develop other fighters. So I think maybe Triple G at 36 years old is looking at his home life and looking at his relationship with his wife and his and his children. His wife just had another a child. They welcomed a daughter not too long ago, so that's his third child. And that he could be thinking that he spent a lot of years within his career away from home, and he wants to do something more on a local aspect where he can be closer to his family and maybe involve his family in his camps and in his training more than he has.
I even heard rumblings on the social media that Triple G is entertaining the idea of training with Lomachenko's father. Have you guys heard anything about that?
Basically the chatter I've been hearing from the keyboard warriors to the people who have a little bit more inside knowledge in with the fight game is that Triple G is looking to go to Wildcard Gym and train with Freddie Roach. That's the chatter I'm hearing. I haven't heard anything from anybody who who would basically convince me of that. But that's the majority of the chatter I'm hearing. But I mean, if he decided to go with Anatoly Lomachenko, I think that would be the best look he could make if he's going to make this transition and change trainers.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit of both of those. I would like to see what would happen, if he did match up with Lomachenko's dad, though. I think that would be pretty solid. So. Freddie Roach, yeah, that could be good, but I think that the more exciting one would be let's see what Lomachenko's dad could do with him. So we'll see.
I mean, with Anatoly Lomachenko, that would present basically because we've seen Manny Pacquiao where he jettisoned Freddie Roach, or at least cleared Freddie Roach out of the lead trainer role, and went back to Baboy, his original trainer, when he was coming out of the Philippines. In that, and there's been a noticeable difference with Manny Pacquiao in that he's kind of been brought back to stylistically to the most original essence of himself, if you will, within the ring. And there's been a noticeable difference. An improvement that's going to be very subjective, but there has been a difference since Manny Pacquiao decided to go back to his original trainer. This could be with Triple G jettisoning Abel Sanchez, and if he does decide to go with Anatoly Lomachenko, that could be an attempt for him to go back to his original essence, in that Anatoly Lomachenko would be a trainer who would provide advice that would be closest to what he came up with back in those pre-post-Soviet era gyms and in those programs back in Kazakhstan, because as he was coming up in that amateur system, just as the Soviet Union was breaking up. So he would go back to a trainer who would be well versed in that system that he came up with when he started boxing, and in a language that is the closest thing to being the original from the foundation of what he came up with in the beginning.
As far as let's say Triple G does go back to one of his to a native or close to of ethnic origin trainer, how beneficial do you guys think that will be against against a third fight against Canelo? Courtney, what do you think?
I think. Sadly, I think the gap is going just to continue to narrow against. Well, I think it already has. I think in the first fight it was a differential where he clearly outperformed Canelo. Canelo collected that data and applied that into the second fight, and it closed that gap down considerably. And I think a third fight, I really don't think much will help against Triple G. With Triple G against Canelo, because I think Canelo has simply evolved into where he knows exactly what he needs to do to get it done against Triple G. And I don't think I don't think a level of originality is going to help that.
I would agree. I don't think that it's going to do anything. Honestly, I think that Canelo's trajectory, as he continues to do what we've seen him do year over year over year, fight over fight over fight, which is he takes things from each and every single great fighter that he goes up against, he implements it into his game, and he becomes a whole bigger, better beast. As Courtney just said, I think it would probably be a lopsided victory at this point for Canelo. I think that he would have enough as far as the experience in the ring with Triple G to know what it's going to take to actually make it a very convincing win. I think that he would be almost out for blood, knowing that this is the time that a lot of real boxing fans have been talking about waiting it out and letting Triple G get older and things like that. And I think that he would see some blood in the water on that one, and he would really feast on that. Now, do I think that Triple G would just let him just beat his ass? No. I think it would still be a tough fight, but I think it would be a pretty convincing win for Canelo, regardless of who his trainer is.
I agree overall. I think there's not much you could do with Triple G as far as planning for a third fight with Canelo. I think Abel Sanchez, I think most people agree, was the best trainer for Triple G as far as preparing for Canelo, and it's just very unfortunate the manner in which they separated. Transition to the last topic is Anthony Joshua and baby Jarrell Miller. It was they were supposed to fight, but due to multiple drug PED violations, Miller has been out of the running, and now there's been numerous reports about possible replacements for Anthony Joshua. One being a Mexican American in Andy Ruiz, and another name relatively popular in Ortiz. Courtney Tanner, what's your overall feelings about this whole situation, and what are your thoughts about the first names that have been brought up so far as the replacements for Anthony Joshua?
As far as the saga goes, I'm not even going to bring his name up on air because he doesn't deserve mentioning. I think we as fans need to make, just like we in our society have made stands against people who perpetrate mass shootings and crimes of hate, where we just don't even mention their names. I think we in the boxing community, when these guys talk as big a game as Similac, that's what I'll call him, has, and it basically talks, as big a game as they do, and then they basically are exposed as the worst kind of fraud there is. We basically just need to stop dignifying their fuckery with mentions of their name, because that only serves to lend them credibility. So I won't do him the service of referring to him by his name. I will just call him Similac from this point on. As far as his future prospects, I think they should just go ahead and make a fight between him and Mr. Let's Go Chump. Y'all know who I'm talking about. And just go ahead and let them fight. Just go ahead and let them fight for let's let them go ahead and fight for the New York State heavyweight title. And just call it a day from there. As far as potential matchups for Anthony Joshua when he makes his U.S. debut at MSG on June 1st, I think most reports have already said that Ortiz has already said that the money is not right for the fight, so he's not going to take it. And Andy Ruiz has emerged pretty much as the front runner. Pretty much at this point, anybody who they get against Anthony Joshua, it's outside of Luis Ortiz, is going to be a letdown. In that, but the thing is with this is it pretty much goes to showcase, or is relegated to showcase status, because at this point now everybody's just looking forward to the fight just to see Anthony Joshua fight on U.S. soil and see how many Rockets Brits he's going to bring with him. So I think it's still going to be an exciting moment for boxing, for him to come to the Mecca of boxing and to do his thing. And I just think it's sad that the controversy has basically diminished the emphasis or the attention on his opponent, or it being any remotely any chance of it being a competitive fight.
Man, I was almost excited to see Big Dopey get a little chance there, and that's just so fucking disappointing. Even as Hearn said, this man swore to be on kids. It's just complete bullshit. And I pretty much agree with Courtney there. We don't even need to say his name. So, Big Dopey and Similac. He's going to get all kind of names here in the next few, as we can be pissed off about this. I know you guys have also heard a little bit about it. Klitschko getting his name thrown out there as somebody to try to hurry up and step up and get in the ring with Josh. Either way, can't wait to see him come to the U.S. and fight. Hopefully things get pushed forward. This ongoing saga between Joshua and Wilder, and something happens there eventually, because it's getting, now that this has happened as well, it's getting a little old. I did also see some reports from Ortiz's from the Ortiz side as far as possibly not being completely ready in the 6 weeks for the fight as well, which was a little disappointing there as well. That he wouldn't be able to be ready in that time frame as far as just getting in the gym or even staying in the gym a little bit or enough to be ready for this fight. But let's see him in the U.S. Let's see what he does. Go ahead and knock somebody the fuck out, and let's move on. And hopefully we can get that Wilder and Joshua fight sooner than later.
Well stated from everyone for episode 32 of the Standing 8 Podcast, Season 2. Before we go, one other administrative announcement. We have the May 2019 pound-for-pound rankings. The voting window will be from Sunday, May 5th to Saturday, May 11th. So within that time period, you can submit your votes. To submit your top 10, go to our website, thestanding8podcast.com, go to the pound-for-pound section of the site, and then it's all there. There's a form to complete out, and just submit your top 10s. So from May 5th to Saturday, so Sunday, May 5th, up to Saturday, May 11th, during that time, we'll be accepting everyone's top 10 pound-for-pound rankings. So that's it for all of us from the Standing 8 Podcast. Be sure to follow us on Stitcher, iTunes, and Spotify. We're also on Instagram at the Standing 8 Podcast. And that's it, guys. From me, Courtney, Tommy Rush Jr., Michael Gomes, thank you for calling in. Congratulations on
shout out to Daniel
the newborn. Oh, yes, of course, Daniel Pena, who unfortunately couldn't be with us due to other obligations. From all of us at the Standing 8 Podcast, until next time, have a great night.
We out.
Howdy.
I just have a desire to be great. That's one of the main things, the fact that it's another man on the other side of the ring that wants to hurt me.
I told you, all of my critics, I told you all that I was the greatest of all time.
He can bring the pressure. He can box. I'm a true champion. I'm willing to go to his turvy. I'm a step one. I'm a crush him. Y'all can mark my word to this. I'm a crush him. He's a C-plus fighter. I'm an A-plus fighter because I'm a dominate. This guy is flat-footed. He swing wild. I'm not worried about who his trainer is because the trainer can't get in there and fight for him. I'm ready mentally, physically, because I'm a team like he's a C-plus fighter. I'm a dominate. I'm a dog this fighter.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one to stop me. Link with the conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairport. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children.
Listen, man, can you? Listen, your concentration is leaving a little bit. Pick it up. Pick it up! Fire's come. Are you ready for the fire? Those were firemen. We are firemen! The heat doesn't bother us. We live in the heat. We train in the heat. It tells us that we're ready. We're at home. We're where we're supposed to be. Flames don't intimidate us. What do? We control the flames. We control them. We move the flames where we want to. And then we extinguish them.